in the context of principles. Do you have principles? Do we have principles? Okay. But I'm saying, so again, we talk about unity. What is going to unify us? My proposal is principles. Adoption of principles that we all can embrace. Can we embrace justice? Can we embrace harmony? Can we embrace balance, order, reciprocity? That's all we're talking about in terms of that cuts across wherever you're coming from. Whatever you calling yourself or not calling yourself, guarantee you justice better be up in there. So what we're saying is we are linking to the fundamentals of where we're all coming from and representing. So now that gives us a tool to operate with and from. So now, going back to this, people are to be self-determined, meaning self-governing to whatever extent we can be. And as Brother Shamar indicated, we need to do that. Now, on that same note, back up for one moment, Brother said, well, you have to see A, B, and C. See, what happened, I'm caught in the middle. I'm too old for one group and too young for the other. So I got caught right in the middle of some stuff. So by the time this group was doing all this stuff, and it had come, and that was all over with. It was gone. And then over here, so my point being, people had built things prior, or at least attempted to, and the sellout mentality, the saboteurs and so forth came in and dismantled. And then the greed and other stuff set in. We had certain things. We had Temple of the Black Messiah. We had AFCON. We had a lot of things that were being built, the Black United Front. But people got greedy. The system decided, oh yeah, get a 501. Let me tell you about that little trick. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't do that. But when that becomes your all in all, and you totally ain't thinking about nothing else, you got a problem. And that's what it was designed to do, to take you away from focusing on being independent and having our own. And they made that money very available. And as soon as you start talking something that was a little too strong, they wanted to come look at your book, and you had to prove that you didn't put it wrong. It was all by design.
And yeah, you take that benefit, you got an answer.
So now, what we're saying is, okay, yeah, do this, but simultaneously, just as Brother Gill was saying about simultaneously, build something independently. That's what we have to do. So I'm going to pass some forms around, which talks about a couple of things. We have started developing an African Community Stakeholders Group, which is a coalition of groups, organizations, businesses who want to be stakeholders and beyond. We're just using that word for now. Because as it was indicated, land banking is here. Again, 2035, your other area is land bank. That passed.
Is everybody clear about what that is?
No, what is the land bank?
Can you use your yellow marker? I'm just doing this because the hand is the best way to see it.
We can't even see that, to be honest.
So this is just a 2035.
Okay.
And again, however you get it, the plan is really big. I'm not saying everybody
Oh, wait a minute, here you go.
needs to see the plan.
Okay.
But you need to understand the thinking and the intent of 2035 Philly. Oh, this is,
Go, this side, go
You
ahead.
see that?
yeah, but it's permanent.
Oh, they get it off, they got something in there.
All right, so ABI is one of the cornerstones, which is, and again, ABI is the revaluation thing. that
Actual
increase
value
allowed-
initiative.
Actual value initiative. that
Come
makes
from
a lot of
the
people
board
spend.
revision of taxes.
And it's
That's
funny,
the work there.
right, and the interesting thing though, is the brother who, if you wanna understand where this can lead, the brother who they brought in, and the thing we gotta get to, and that's why this black thing is important, everybody who's doing the machinations, the face of them, most of them are black. So there's a brother that's over this, they brought him in from DC. Anybody used to know DC 30 years ago, what we call it?
Chocolate City.
What is it now? Vanilla City.
And they're all in Prince
Same guy,
County.
same person they brought in to kind of lead the ABI initiative.
Richie.
Eric, side note, they're in Prince George County, where the superintendent came from.
Right, yeah,
Okay, then
and that's the other
everything's
thing.
perfect timing.
So if we want to understand school closures, because again, that goes with it, I mean, your schools are community institutions in a lot of ways as well, so this is going to continue. And it's big, it's happening, and it doesn't matter whether your governor is Democrat or Republican. Everybody talking about we're gonna vote in Wolf and get out Corbett, it's gonna change. If you look at the top 20 states where school closures are happening, 9 of them are run by Democratic governors. The governor's party does
What
not.
does that say?
School closures, where they're closing the public schools. So I give you, anybody in here from West Side, I just wanna go through this, because sometimes we don't see what's right in front of our eyes. When did the schools close, right? Anybody remember when this happened? When did they close the 24 schools? When?
Oh, really?
It was last year, right?
Yeah.
It's been a year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the schools was University City. You remember we were all doing this fight, you know, everybody's trying to fight, defend their individual schools. And, but I just want to use University City
Okay,
because
okay, good.
they closed University City, sold University City to Drexel, right? And I was saying to people, this has nothing to do with education,
That's
right? If you go to where University City is right now, every inch around it is being developed. So it was a logical conclusion that University City, it had nothing to do with education, it had to do with the location.
Right.
It's not education, it's the location. They already know that they're going to put high-end student facility retail stuff here, right? A lot of the school closure stuff has to do with either new housing, new retail establishment. If y'all not aware of it, the gallery has already been slated for redevelopment to bring in high-end stores. So when people are arguing about why they can't get black vendors in there, it's because the thing that happens before gentrification is always abandonment.
Right, that's right.
That's what's happening in Detroit, that's what's happening here. You have to abandon and lessen the value so that then the vultures can come in and scoop it up at rock bottom prices. That's what all of these things are designed to facilitate. Registered community organization legislation came up, which was a way Councilwoman Blackwell was pushing to get people's voices into the process around these things. It got shut down, right? A lot of the people who we think are allies were the people who voted not to bring it to the actual vote necessary or block the pathway. And then the thing I'm supposed to be up here talking about, the land bank. The land bank is the city's way, this is the big boy right here. Because if you're going to do development, the thing you have to have is site control. And that's all what it means. It means I am the one who has the legal say over what happens to the land. I can do the trading because I have site control. That's why if you want to redevelop a block, you have to get site control over all the houses on that block in order to then demolish them, right? And you got to do that one by one. So what the land bank does is the city's way of bringing all of the properties that have a public interest, a public ownership stake under one transactionable organization. So that how we have it now, you got PHA, you got Redevelopment Authority, you have the Planning Commission, you have all these different entities that might own parcels of land. The land bank is the place where if your taxes mess up, any way the public city can get ownership of land, it comes under one auspices they're calling the land bank, and then through that bank, that land bank structure, they then begin to negotiate with the developers directly. Because they say that the process, the way it is now, is too cumbersome and the developers can't flip the properties quick enough. And they want to make money, supposedly, the city makes money here off of getting this process more expeditious. Which is why you now hear an increase in people getting their homes snatched because they're back on taxes, sheriff sales, all that kind of stuff. Now, you'll see that engine start to churn more strongly because they want to get as much property as they can in here. So this is what's going on right in our face. This is not, none of this is hypothetical,
Right.
none of this is
Real.
conspiracy theory.
Right.
This is legislation that every day the people who you invited here or go to city council there, because in order to do this is where state and city link.
That's right.
The state had to pass what's called an enabling legislation,
Yep.
which then allows the land bank at a city level to operate.
Yep.
So in many ways, even with the school, a lot of these things, the state has to pass similar, if you want to understand what I'm saying, I'll be quiet after this. Similar to the way that the city couldn't move on the 1% sales tax or the 2% cigarette tax until the state enabled them to implement the tax.
So in other words, you saying that all the people who got their houses now in areas where they trying to take the land, eventually, once they get this stuff up and running by the 2035, the value of their house will go sky high.
That's
Well,
one
they
way.
already have
I mean, they have so
right
many
there.
ways.
Right there.
They have, see, and the problem is you have to, this is not just economic, it's also political. So when you understand the concept of gentrification and gentry, it's really about taking places that are seen as uncivil and bringing in a class of people to civilize those spaces. And so that's really what we're fighting. And they see us as the ones who are uncivil.
Always.
And the others as the ones who are civil, and they have a right, therefore, to our spaces. So we're essentially squatters.
Right. And on that note, two things, point of clarity. The person who was successful in getting this bill through is a Latina woman named Councilwoman Sanchez.
Maria Cordona
So she is
Sanchez,
now
she's the
positioned-
land bank queen.
She's now positioned. See, again, this is very political. And now she will be the sweetheart of the developers, which means her political career will more than likely be very interesting in the next few years.
Oh, yeah,
You have to
I always
understand-
back, I thought she was gonna run for 2016.
Okay.
They're probably pushing her back to about 2020.
Right.
She probably will be positioned as the first Latino woman to be mayor of the city,
See,
if her path goes
right,
correct.
see, understand the moves. This is why we have to really become a bit more astute and sophisticated in our thinking. With that said, one of the things we're going to be talking about and doing is Poli-Sci 101. We'll be having those sessions in the near future. Why? Because what you think, what we think, what many think is the political process, it really is not what's really going on. He who pays the piper plays the tune.
Yes.
Right. That's what really is going on.
And that's who these people work for, not us.
Right.
They work
But,
for the people who pay the
but strategically, if we understand some other natures of the game, which is why some of us are going into the UN and beginning to develop allies with other countries, because you have a lot of foreign interests in this country. Other people are utilizing foreign interests. What that means is some of us have to definitely be on point enough and consistent enough to be able to be in some of these other circles. Because it's about making money for other governments, as far as they're concerned. They don't care about a lot of their politics that's going on. They want to make money. But for us, we do care. So we're developing allyships with governments who have a little bit of integrity, meaning they fought for their independence. So it's not just about money for them. So my point that I'm making to you is, in a protracted way, is that our plan is not to partner with corporations and all of that, which is right now business as usual, the nature of the game. Our plan is to partner with governments. These properties and other things where finances are needed, why can we not, if we're organized, if we're dealing with a village concept, a society concept, and are organized, that allows us to parlay. Other people are doing this.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, one other point, just very briefly, one other point. What we're proposing is, and I'm gonna give you these forms so you understand, or be able to get more information about the AFCON village, what it is, how it functions, and any suggestions that you all have about some operational things that we can do collectively. We're open for it. We're just talking about we gotta do something. But one of the things that Sister Denise and I and others have talked about is one of the first things we're getting ready to implement under our AFCON village is our own community block generals.
Good.
Okay, the city had black captains, right?
Go on the right.
Okay, so we want our own block coordinators and generals that are from our village. Excuse me. And they report to us or connect with us, do what we need to have done and so forth. That doesn't mean that we're not trying to, or that we're like trying to outdo the city or anything. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is representing ourselves and starting on the levels that we can.